What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. I'm not even sure if this is going to be usable or not because actually I know exactly why, but we're getting some pretty crazy winds today. And that's because at the time of me recording this, a storm had just gone through the Gulf and is working its way up here to North Carolina. So we're kind of starting to feel some of the effects already. And I didn't realize just how windy it was actually going to be. So we'll see how this ride goes. It might be kind of interesting fighting the wind for an hour, but we'll see. It's not too bad yet, but I'm also not on a very fast part of my commute. So we'll see. But yeah, if you see this, then obviously the audio wasn't too bad. But I know for me, the wind is pretty loud right now, and it keeps coming in waves. So there's not really, I could go 20 miles an hour and the wind's still gonna be crazy right now. It's friggin' trash flying all over the place. I know just walking around at work today, I was getting pelted with sand in areas that there was no sand. So if that tells you anything, the wind is just carrying everything with it right now. It's actually kind of like foggy. I'm not sure if the camera is picking this up, but I definitely can't see nearly as far as I normally would be able to, which I wasn't really expecting the wind to do, because I don't know. I guess I don't understand where this fog is coming from. It could be rolling in off the ocean, I suppose, but I'm not sure. I know through random parts of the day today, we've gotten just completely random spouts of rain. And hopefully I won't get hit with any of those, because they were completely random and they were pretty hard at the moments they'd hit, so fingers crossed for that. It is looking kind of ugly up ahead though. It's kind of weird that it's coming from in front of me, because it should be coming from the south, which is to my left. But I mean, there's clouds over there, but there's not much. Pants aren't super thick, and I keep accidentally touching parts of my bike, and they are very hot. Oddly enough, looking at the flags and how windy they are, this is probably the least amount of wind I've experienced going over this bridge. Even on completely calm days where there's like no wind, I still get wind on top of this bridge for some reason. And now that it's super windy and I can literally see the flags whipping, I don't feel anything. I doubt you guys can even hear the wind. You probably only hear my bike. This is really weird. Come on, don't turn yellow. Let me make it. We're gonna go in this lane. I was hoping to be able to go for a group ride this month, and I had spoken about that last month, about going for a group ride and getting something set up, but it's not looking like I'm actually going to be able to. I'm not real sure when I'm going to be able to set up a group ride to happen out here, but it's something I am planning. But I can't even give you guys an expected time at when I'll be able to actually do that. But I am trying. What are we stopping for? I just realized that Mustang up there is a Roush, which is pretty badass. You don't see those very often. I'm hoping the highway is not going to be too bad. Typically I just skip through it because the wind's bad on a normal day, never mind on a super windy day, but I still have to experience it, and there are some parts that get pretty friggin' windy, just because they act as almost like a funnel. And I'm sure most people who've been riding, at least for a little bit, have experienced some spot, some location around where they live that's just like this crazy wind tunnel. And on the calmest of days, it can still get super windy for some reason. I want to know how much more horsepower those Roush Mustangs have over the standard ones. There was a bike back there and I didn't even notice. This truck was blocking me. I guess we'll see how this goes. It'll be interesting. I haven't actually ridden in winds this high yet. I've ridden in some pretty shitty weather, but even like riding through like thunderstorms and shit, the wind wasn't actually this high and it didn't fight me nearly as hard. Wind doesn't nearly affect me as much as I thought it would. I know some people, wind can like literally push them off the road, but I haven't really had a problem fighting the wind. So we'll see. Typically, like I said, it doesn't really bother me too much, but today is an abnormally high day. But I'm gonna jump cut you guys so you guys don't have to listen to this friggin' hurricane inside my helmet, and then you will be back at a slower portion of my ride. All right, welcome back. That first part was kind of interesting. A lot of my speed, I don't know if it's just me or if it's weird of me, but a lot of my speed I actually have based off of sound. And I know it's kind of the strange thing to base it off of, because why wouldn't you go off of vision or just knowing your speedometer? But it's just kind of how I've adapted to riding. So because the wind was so loud, I couldn't actually tell how fast I was going. I kept having to look down and see what I was doing in order to even grasp, like, oh shit, you're going way over or you're going under, whatever it is. Like, the other thing is, like, the difference between 60 miles an hour and 80 miles an hour was like minimal. Like, it didn't feel any different. The wind was pushing on me just as hard whether I was going 60 or 80, and it was just really different. That was really weird to experience. It did fight me, especially if I was like switching lanes. If I already had momentum going to one side of the road or the other, it would only push me harder, and I'd end up having to lean towards the wind so it would stop pushing me, and then it would essentially look like I'm turning, but I'm actually just going in a straight line, which was really weird to experience. But yeah, hopefully these slower parts aren't too loud for you guys. It's not super loud for me, so I'm hoping that the mic's not picking it up too much. I'm curious to know, because like volunteer firefighters, I'm sure just about everybody who's watching this has seen one. You get permission to put red lights on your personal vehicle. That way, if you're at work or wherever you are, you can get in your car and go to where the emergency is, or at least get back to the station to grab a truck. So I'm kind of curious if you're allowed to put them on your motorcycle. Do stations allow that, or is it strictly cars and trucks only? I've never really looked into it, and I've also never heard anyone talk about it. I feel like if any vehicle was going to be the best vehicle to get you to the station quickly and safely, I would say it's going to be a motorcycle. But I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that would only be more dangerous, but I don't think so. I think people would notice you, on top of the fact that you now are much smaller, which is a blessing and a curse. The lights kind of counter that part to where you're like, you're invisible. But it is a super strong benefit because you're able to get around cars much easier than you would be if you were in a big friggin' Jeep Gladiator or some truck. Something I kind of think about a lot and has kind of always been kind of a weird spot for me is the idea of like bionic wear. And because we're getting to that point in medical technology and research and technology in general that like robotic hands with fully working fingers, like super accurate thoughts, are gonna be a thing. And the same thing with feet. So like I'm curious how much of the population would actually like be excited, or would they be willing to actually lose a limb to get one of these pieces of equipment, essentially. If the limb promised to do more than the human limb, so it's a hydraulic limb, therefore it's going to be stronger than a human arm could be, or a human leg for that matter. And like, would you ever, if you didn't actually need to give up a limb, but you were offered to have that limb removed and replaced with a bionic limb, how many people would actually do it? Would that just become like the new thing where like construction workers are just, they got bionic arms and they don't even need like tools anymore? They just have a friggin' arm that can do almost anything. I think it would be a long while before we saw limbs that had like friggin' drills inside of them and the finger just spun around. But I think I don't think it's that far off from reality to what will actually be a thing in the near future. Because when you actually look at how fast technology has evolved in both just regular tech like a cell phone or medical technology when it comes to understanding the human body and the different things we can do to it. I mean, hell, we can put pacemakers attached to people's hearts that can sense when the heart's not beating right, and it shocks the heart into snapping out of it, into fixing itself. And how far off are we from just mechanical hearts that just, I mean, it replaces your heart. If you have a bad heart, you get a mechanical one put in and it pumps your blood for you. And how does that work? Are we gonna have to like charge ourselves at night? We're gonna have a little plug-in somewhere? And if you don't plug yourself in, you're gonna friggin' die? Kind of raises a whole new world of dilemmas and controversies of how far is too far, or is this the right thing to do for the greater good to save more lives? People would just have to take personal responsibility and be accountable for recharging themselves every day, as well as like crazy shit like Elon Musk is working on to put a device attached to your brain that will be able to help diagnose you or even fix some medical problems that are going on that are all neurological. It's kind of wild, and I really don't think we're far off from seeing that sort of stuff in an everyday life. Maybe it's not going to be in my lifetime, but I don't think it's shortly thereafter. And it's also kind of funny how technology and history, the saying that history repeats itself, it's funny how technology is doing that now. We're getting phones that flip up sideways, and we're getting smartphones that flip open like an old flip phone, but it's all touchscreen and it's a smartphone. So it's kind of funny how that all works. Even small shit like clothing styles are coming back, and I don't know if that's just because more people want to be what would be considered a hipster because they want to be different, or I don't know. It's just interesting. But I'm going to skip you guys ahead a while because I'm about to get on another really loud spot of my commute. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, that's round 2 of 3 for pretty fast parts of my trip. That one wasn't nearly as bad as the first one. The first one was pretty rough. Not sure why. That one, I guess, was a little bit more open, so it wasn't nearly as funneled. Not sure, but traffic is getting busy, so I think my commute is about to slow down. Just because, I mean, sometimes traffic drives really fast, but most of the time they don't drive very fast. People around here are pretty slow. I guess slow in spots where people don't really need to be slow, and they're fast in spots where people don't really need to be fast. Because people go fast as hell on the road that my house is on. What is happening up here? Why did that van just go off of? Oh, because this wide load, I see. Props to the guys that drive all those big rigs, especially the wide load ones. Those guys delivering like houses. That one's got a tractor on it. Like, I've seen some of those guys put those things in crazy spots and they don't hit anything somehow. Like, I've been pretty good about always knowing the vehicle I'm driving and how big it is, where its edges are, but like, I'm kind of amazed the brain can even comprehend how big something like that is. And that doesn't even touch on like the big Boeing Airbuses. Granted, there's not many obstacles up in the sky, but nonetheless it's still a ginormous vehicle, or aircraft, I guess. Those Teslas are kind of wild. But yeah, I think this is where I'm going to wrap it up. Hopefully the video is long enough. Like I say in every episode, it is kind of hard to tell. There's no way for me to keep track of how much I've actually recorded, but I like to try to keep it around the same time for you guys. That way it's something you can look forward to and kind of be reliable, you know? But if you like this type of stuff and you want to see more of it, don't forget and please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot, and it's a good way for you guys to keep in touch with me. I like hearing from you guys. I like knowing what's going on. I like hearing your thoughts, getting your questions, everything, yada yada. But if you want to see more of this and you enjoy this type of stuff, leave a like, leave a comment, share it, do whatever you want. I appreciate all of it, and I can never thank you guys enough for how much support you guys have given me with everything. Link to my social medias can be found in the description below if you want to follow me over there and get a more up-to-date feel on what I've been up to, where I'm going. And then I guess the only thing to do would be the outro. So until next week, I will see you guys in the next video. Later.